there is a huge Reinhardt misconception that I think a lot of players still don't understand. This is one of those tips I'm going to give you that often players do know. Players do know about this. It's not just a hidden secret. It's not like it's a obscure thing. This is known by a lot of players, but a lot of players still don't understand this aspect of playing Reinhardt. So Reinhardt has been in the meta since day one of competitive mode. There's no real challenging that. He's really, really effective at protecting your team. He's the best tank at protecting your team. However, there is a misconception that Reinhardt is to stand there with his barrier up and let your team do all the damage, and you need to wait until the fight starts before you can start swinging your hammer and doing a bit of damage. Reinhardt's abilities actually don't actually lean towards that at all. Reinhardt's abilities are his pin, so his charge, where he charges in and pins someone and slams them against a wall. A fire strike, so you can send off a bit of fire into someone. It does a decent amount of damage, and you can actually finish someone off. Finishing someone off is not necessarily about standing there with your barrier up, is it? And finally, an Earth Shatter, which requires you to put your barrier down, get into the fight, and get relatively close to your enemies, and wait for them to be grouped up and initiating already, and then you stun them and then slam them and fire strike them and such. So, and then you got your barrier. That doesn't really sound like a sit still, wait for your teammates to do the damage kind of kit, does it? Well, it's mainly the shift ability. You could say the Fire Strike is for standing still, and the Earth Shadow, you could wait for your enemy team to come to you, and so you're standing still there. It's mainly the pen. The pen sticks out like a sore thumb. It's not a bad ability at all. I'm not criticizing anything here. I think it's a great ability, and I think it really does suit Reinhardt a lot. But a lot of players don't use it. It's one of Reinhardt's strongest parts of his kit, and it's one of the main reasons why Reinhardt's so good. However, players don't use it, and all players don't use it correctly. So a big problem players often see with Reinhardt players is that they pin too often, or they charge in all by themselves too often. And that is a problem. However, a way to stop that from happening and stop that being an issue is to go in with the Reinhardt. So you initiate with him. Now, if he's charging in when you've got one player alive and 4 people are dead, then unfortunately that's just a bad situation to be in. But Reinhardt players should wait for your team to be together and then initiate the fight themselves. Reinhardt players should take it upon themselves to start it off. This doesn't work with every team composition. I'm not saying that this is going to be the be-all and end-all of all attack compositions, but on attack, if you're playing Reinhardt, it's pretty much your job to start that fight off. Because if you can start that fight off earlier than you normally would have, you're saving time. And saving time in any mode is really, really good for your team. And so, you getting that pen, you starting off the fight is really, really good. And that's a really, really powerful ability. You can start that fight with 300 damage. I think it's 300 damage. I'm not entirely sure. But if you can start that fight and get that much damage done and potentially either kill someone or get the Reinhardt really low or whatever, then you're doing your job pretty well, and you can save your team a lot of time if you're not waiting around, poking, getting picked off, respawning, waiting to group up, barrier going down, getting behind cover. Doing all that wastes a lot of time. And so the best way to do it often is to just start the fight off, get a pin, and start swinging your hammer, because swinging your hammer does a lot of damage. And if your teammates are following up on that damage, then you're getting some kills. You're getting some kills. And so that's just a massive misconception I see with Reinhardt, and players don't often know that. A really important thing to often do, though, especially in situations where both teams know of this and know that you should be trying to get pins, is that you got to win the Reinhardt pin battle. You've got to actively try and pin the enemy Reinhardt and get him out of the way. Because winning that battle means that the enemy team doesn't have a barrier to sit behind. Even if you can pin the enemy Reinhardt, if you can take it upon yourself to pin the enemy Reinhardt while they're in formation and get him out of the way, your team doesn't have a barrier, the enemy team doesn't have a barrier, but your team knows what's going to happen next. They're perhaps in a better position to pounce. And so you getting the first pin allows your team to start off the initiation damage. They get a first little bit of advantage onto that fight. The enemy team is taken by surprise, and so they have to react instinctively rather than prematurely. And so, I don't know if I worded that right, but you know what I mean, like your team gets to act first, pretty much. And so, pinning people with Reinhardt, especially pinning enemy Reinhardts, is really, really important. I hope you guys understand that. I hope you guys can use that in your own games. Let me know how it goes for you in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.